recording just because we're live as far as that's concerned. So it might be a small group, but my mama always said, one monkey don't stop the show, baby. I used to be a crier when I was little. I'd be like, my older brother made fun. She'd be like, well, you can either cry here or you can get back over it and get out there and play. One monkey don't stop the show. Like,
that's right.
Toughen me up. Toughen me up.
Right.
So, hey, I'm not gonna stop the show. How's your week been? How's everybody's week been?
Good. I went to Cape May last weekend.
Oh, nice.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was the first time. I've always wanted to go to Cape May. It was a short drive. I went with my sister and my niece. We rented a beautiful house on the beach.
Washington Ave?
Huh?
On Washington Ave?
Yeah, well, near. We weren't in the downtown Cape Cod. We were kind of 5 minutes away. I wanted to be in more of a residential.
Right.
But it was a nice getaway, and I just needed to catch my breath and recharge my batteries, so that this week has been productive. But looking forward to another long weekend.
Oh, okay. All right. So, is seafood in Cape May? Good seafood?
Seafood,
Good
yeah. Well, I mean, obviously with COVID and the pandemic, there's a lot. Yeah, it's really impacted all the restaurants. You have to make reservation almost a week in advance because it's only outdoor dining and they've got limited seating. So the choices are slim, but yeah. So it's good food, good seafood.
Nice. I've been wanting to get away for so long now. My backyard is really nice, but it's not that big. I've been really wanting to get away. You're right, just to recharge the batteries sometimes, change your pace, change your scenery. That's beautiful. That's beautiful.
Yeah, we need that.
I've got to figure out what I can do. That's the challenge.
If it's not on your schedule, it doesn't exist.
You're right about that. I got another challenge. The challenge is convincing the wife that it's okay to travel.
Oh.
Really? She has trepidation around it?
Yes, still very much so.
It's so funny when Michelle was talking just now, and sometimes I forget about the pandemic, and I'm thinking, oh, we can go back to this. And it's like, that's not true.
Yeah.
That's not true.
Yeah. I mean, even that thing about they say if you leave the state and you go to another state and you come back, you're supposed to quarantine for 14 days.
Correct.
I don't know how the world are going to catch you, but I was like, all that stuff is crazy. Michelle, you're like, what?
Yeah, no, I mean, I didn't know that. But yeah, I mean, I'm not quarantining myself having been to.
Yeah.
But in New York, they follow up on you. If you go to New York from Florida, let's say, they follow up on you. They clock if you have Florida plates, you come back to New York from the New York plates. I guess it's harder. But if let's say you have Florida plates, they're absolutely going to check up on you.
Yeah. Who's the they?
Say again?
Who's the they?
As soon as you come enter the New York border, you got to come in Bridge Tunnel, or you got to come in by Bridge Tunnel or Bridger Tunnel. How you get to New York?
I know, but who's following up?
Oh, it would be the state, I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
It's crazy.
It would be the state health organization. It would have to be.
Interesting.
That's a good question. Let's check that out.
Yeah.
I bet you it's all theory and they're understaffed anyway. So they'll be checking up on you in 2022.
Yeah. Like, administer all the traveling. Yeah, but thinking with what you said about your wife, I mean, I don't know that I want to fly anytime soon. I'm hopeful that I can take a spring vacation, but there's places to drive to. And
that's what I would like to do.
Like an Airbnb, I've been doing a lot of that.
Yeah. That's what I would like to do. Just to get away from it all, relax and just a different pace. We're coming up on the fall now. So, I got to do something.
Yeah.
This is a weird year. This is a weird year.
It is, isn't it? Oh my gosh. And this, we're trying to settle into this new normal. At the beginning of it turned our lives upside down. Now I think even to George's point, sometimes we have to kind of remind ourselves how surreal it is and how much restriction and limitations we have on our travel,
Yeah.
and what we can do. But yeah, I think we're making the best out of it because I don't think it's going to be, lifted anytime soon.
Yeah, that's so true. I'm gonna um I'm gonna get you guys' opinion because this is a business meeting, right? About business going to clients. So I have kind of eased up. Not, I don't know if eased up is the word. I feel less like, okay, everything has to be remote. So I've had a couple clients come in. We've had meetings. Put the mask on for a few minutes, but you're trying to talk at a meeting. It's so hard to talk through a mask for an hour, right? So I don't know. The mask comes on, it comes off, it comes on, it comes off. How I'm about to go to a client to work on some workflow matters, like just helping them to understand their workflow, and I want to document it so that we can start to assign different roles, different people to different roles, and get that really laid out. So I'm going to the client, and I'm trying to, in my mind, envision how I'm going. Am I going masked up? Are you guys going to clients?
Oh, man. I was thinking you were talking about the literal, the figurative mask.
Oh, masked up.
Oh, it's so,
Yeah.
I find it such a challenge because a lot of my talk is with my smile, my eyes, and with the mask, it's hard to interpret that non-verbal communications
Yeah.
that I use. I gotta tell you, it's a big challenge. It's a big challenge for
Yeah.
me anyway. I don't know about other people.
So what are you
So with
doing?
you and showing houses, right? I mean, you have to be out with your clients.
Right, but when you're showing houses, there is a tangible thing that you can relate to, that you're pointing out.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, you do have to be. A lot of these houses, you have to be masked up. Just about all of them. You have to sign a form, COVID-19 form. Just like I was looking in New York. New York State makes you sign a travel advisor form for when you leave the state and come back in the state. So we have to sign a COVID-19 form saying that we will not sue the seller of the home. So we hold harmless the seller of the home
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
from COVID-19.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Let's face
Yeah.
it.
So you're interacting with, you're interfacing with your clients.
How do you
Oh
feel about it?
yes.
How do you feel about it? Do you feel nervous as you're going to your clients?
No, I'm going to clients. It's absolutely. There's a tension there that you're being. Look, I'm an ex-Vietnam vet. All right, I was there during the war. So one of the things that you got used to is the fact that you could get hit with a mortar at any time. So it's like that underlying thing that you really have in your head but you're trying not to keep it on the forefront. So I hate to equate this with that, but it's not too far from it because it's a death sentence for a lot of us, you know. So when you're going into the homes, you're sanitizing in, sanitizing out. A lot of times I wear gloves, masked up, hat, long sleeve shirt. With summertime, no matter, long sleeve shirt. And last week, for the first time, I took a client in my car.
I was about to ask about that because you always
Yes.
kind of pick your clients up.
And how did that feel?
So that was, well, she's a very conscientious person, but it was not comfortable. It wasn't comfortable. And we were going to Essex County. We were going to Bloomfield. She lives in Lyndhurst, which is only about a 20-minute ride, you know. And then back. Oh no! I took her to. She's going to work in the city, so I took her to the entrance of the tunnel, Boulevard East. I took over to Boulevard East so she can catch the transit, because otherwise she has to travel. She's a commuter, and she can't drive. So she has a powerful company. She's a pattern maker, and you're familiar with Vera Wang.
Of course.
Right. So she's a pattern maker for Vera Wang. She does very well. She has her own business on 36th Street, but she has to take the bus into the tunnel because she can't drive. She can't physically drive, because she has a condition. So she's traveling on buses and trains, and I know it's not comfortable for her. It's certainly not comfortable for me.
Mm.
It's not comfortable for me to go in houses. It's not. I've cut. I told you I've cut a lot back on my business because of that.
Mm. Hmm.
Yeah,
I don't do a lot of interfacing. Most of my sessions and meetings are virtual and even trainings, although with some of the trainings coming up that we've been hired for, they are asking if I would be, the company is assembling some of their associates to be at a location. And I really kind of insist that I will conduct the training remotely, as long as they're comfortable, if they kind of make it an ultimatum. So no, but recently I had one private client who asked if we could do an in-person. So they came to my house, and, you know, I asked him to be honest if he's, you know, contracted COVID, if he's been around people who have, and he said no. So he came in, he was respectful with a mask on, but, you know, after we started conversing, we were in my dining room. We sat, and at least my dining room table, I think, is at least, you know, 5.5, 6 feet. So we separated, but we didn't wear the mask. And I didn't have trepidation. I had no trepidation.
you get comfortable.
I
Right.
did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now you've been to my office, Michelle, so you know how my desk is. It's not 6 feet between us. It's maybe the desk is 3 feet wide, 2.5 feet wide.
Mhm.
But I get comfortable with the clients there. I think maybe it's because in my mind, it's my controlled environment, but now I'm going to my client's controlled environment or uncontrolled because I have no idea. You know, I kind of feel like that's where the challenge now lies, right? How do you, when you go to someone else's environment, like George, you're going to someone else's house. I know what my house is like. I don't know what that house is like. So it's going to be an interesting reality. I'm going this Tuesday unless I bow out.
So here's a question. Can you ask that wherever you're going to meet in their house, that there be 6 feet?
Oh, well, I'm going to his business and he has a warehouse.
Mm.
So, and you know, what's interesting to me is like, if I'm going to a house, I'd feel a little bit better, I think, because it's like, okay, how many people traipse through your house? But he's, you know, he sells product. So tons of people are traipsing through probably, you know. I'm going to sit in his office probably and do the workflow there. So maybe, you know, there's also this balancing act, like you said, George, when you were, and of course, I've never been a woman. You said, you know, at one point, you're just used to the fact that something can happen, right?
Mhm.
I mean, something can happen, but it can happen anywhere,
Mhm.
you know. I hired a couple people in the last few weeks. One guy helps me with my marketing, really good guy. He's in Florida. We got on the phone. We do Zoom for our meetings, and about 2 weeks ago, he was like, "Hey, I contracted COVID." I was like, "What? What happened?" He was like, "I don't know." He said, "I'm really careful. I don't go out." He's old. He's a little younger than me. I don't go out much. We only go out every once in a while to do food shopping. I'm very careful. I have no idea how I got it, but I got it. So, you know, it can happen. And that's the thing that's crazy. You know, he was fortunate in that his case wasn't bad, but it he's fatigued. It's impacted him. You know, it's impacted his work. I mean, he worked maybe 50% of the time for me in the last 2 weeks than he normally does because he was just exhausted.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
and
what
you know,
the symptoms are.
yeah, and it's the thing that's crazy is, you know, sometimes you think exhausted. You know, he's not a mason, he's not a carpenter. He sits behind a desk like I do. And if he was
Oh,
too
it's very
tired,
stressful. It's very
yeah,
stressful.
but what I'm saying, if you're too tired to sit behind a desk, you know, that means
Oh,
you're tired.
that's
You
part
know,
of the COVID though.
yeah, that's exactly it. That means that it
That's
really
what he's
does
saying.
exhaust you. You
Yeah.
know, it's not like somebody like one of my buddies, he's a welder. Okay, yeah, I can understand. But if you're just a desk, not just a desk, because I mean, that's obviously a different kind of level.
But you're not exerting yourself physically, is what you're saying.
Exactly. Yeah, I can sit down here, be half asleep, and sit at my desk and get a
Right,
couple things done.
right.
So I said, man, this really takes a toll. So, you know, I'm like worried in a couple of ways. If it should happen to me, well, I don't think I'm gonna die. You know, who does, right? But, will it impact my productivity here in the office?
Right.
How will it impact my productivity? The nice thing is, obviously, I've grown enough to a point that I don't have to do all the work. So I could, manage, but who wants that? So it's an interesting conundrum, I guess, how we balance our work and health, work and health to be productive.
Yeah, but what I do when I do go out, and there are times when you do go out into a location, they are stressful. But I do prepare. I wash my hands when I get out of there, like I just got getting ready for surgery, and I'm the surgeon. I wash
Gotcha.
my hands when I get in there and get out of there. I scrub.
Right,
Scrub.
right.
So it's really, and you have to do that.
And it's a balancing act, right? I'm having some work done at my house. It's he is a mason, which is, I guess, why that came to mind. And I know his son. His son is, I've known him since he was a little boy. We haven't seen each other in a while. He ran up to me. He's like, "Hey, man, I haven't seen you," and he hugged me. And I hugged him because, and at the same time, when we parted, I got all my disinfectant and I was, going like this, but where's the balance? Does one hug equal COVID or not? Who knows? And then you have people like my assistant and my marketing assistant who has no idea. So I don't know. It's a very interesting chat.
You know what I do? Welcome, Jonathan. I know we'll let him chime in. I don't know whether it's naivete or denial or heightened spirituality. I so practice the prayer of protection. Literally. I've ingested it to where I believe that I am impervious to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I really, this is, again, I don't know whether it's denial or naivete, but I practice the prayer of protection.
Yeah, well, I certainly do that. I also put wings on my prayers because I'm not putting myself in challenging situations.
Well, yeah, no, I mean, obviously I'm not negating taking precautions, but I'm talking about my mindset.
Yes, your mindset.
My mindset.
Totally understand.
I'll wash my hands. I don't wear the gloves much anymore, but I
don't do the gloves either.
But it's my mindset,
Right.
because I know how uncomfortable I am when I am fearful.
Yes.
It just makes me hyper vigilant, and I can feel the energy in my body. And that's whenever I do feel it, because it does, rise every now and then it's like, no, I'm like you, Mark, where I say, I'm not going to die. And I also put, I'm not going to catch it.
Yes.
I mean, like so emphatically, know? Yeah.
I hear you. It's high out for you.
Yeah, that's an interesting, I'm not going to catch it. I don't know. I just try to be as careful as I can because we just don't know.
Right.
If it'd be beautiful, it was just the power of the mind, but I'm sure many people who have that mindset, they catch it. I mean, the young people were doing parties about it. It's like, I think if you're as safe as you can be.
Though, Mark.
That's different. What she said.
That's different. It's not. That's a denial mindset and going into the fray.
With a little stupidity.
I know, it's crazy. That's crazy.
Right. So I'm not talking about that. It's having a mindset, but also being cautious.
Yes.
Being cognizant of reality. Yeah.
Exactly.
I just think my mindset at this point is you be as safe as you can.
Mm-hmm.
And we never know what's going to happen. You can be as safe as you can and you can avoid it. And then you can walk out and get hit by a bus.
Mm-hmm.
That's just the reality. Time and unforeseen occurrence can befall anyone. So,
are you selling insurance right now, Mark?
No, but I might start. I might start if I get it hyped up enough. Sure enough, no, just kidding. John looks like he has no fear. Obviously, he's in the diner or something. What's going on?
Funny, I ain't in no diner. I'm at the gas station.
With no mask on?
With no mask on. Just shades.
Just shades. And the aura of protection. No, I'm kidding.
So we were talking about we were talking about business, right? And we were talking about how you cope with that. Now you're in an interesting field. And you're in the hood.
Of course. Yo,
How do you handle it with your subcontractors? Or who's too busy? Because I was curious, like who deals with subcontractors all day?
Jonathan, you gotta mute.
I'm gonna mute that boy
Can't
myself.
hear.
I was gonna say he
There you
deals
go.
with subcontractors all day, and all kinds of different people. So that's an interesting challenge, how he deals with it. But maybe when he gets himself together, we'll find out. But I just think he's one of these young people who have no fear. Every time I'm talking to him, he's out doing something. So, so it's an interesting scenario. I just think we do have to be diligent and go from there. But we actually did a whole lot of talking about a whole lot of non-subject, but I guess it's relatable because we all got to deal with it as we move on in this time frame. It's not going away anytime soon.
Sure. I know about all of our, I would say most of our business models, how we do business has changed. And we also have to forecast, or should we say, set up how we're going to market to that now. I mean, like Michelle was saying, most of her business is on Zoom or on some kind of media, and so that has to be the case to a certain extent, because people are shy about going out.
Yeah. Now here's an interesting thing, and I want to chat about this a little bit because depending on your industry, it can work. It can be a boon, and for business advisors and coaches, I think this is a boom. And so I love it in that, I mean, I can have meetings with anybody. Jonathan and I have coaching meetings all the time. He's in Philadelphia. 5 years ago, that wouldn't have been possible as well as effective as it is now, right? With Zoom, we can share our screen. We can look at computer things and that nature. Even with this workflow piece that I'm doing for the client, I believe it can be done remotely. I'm 90% sure it can be. With the technology, I mean, Jonathan's talking to us in the street, right? So if the client had a phone and walked me around, do you think that this new technology will actually help us to expand our businesses? What do you think?
Expand some businesses?
Yeah.
Of course. Sure, certainly. I mean, if you look at what's going on in New York, how many of the businesses are saying, you know what? We're not going back into that real estate. We're going. Most of my staff is working from home. Look how much money we're saving by not being in that office space. So they're looking at outsourcing, or let's say staff that can work from outside as opposed to doing things in the office. That synergy is, I guess, gathered online in a Zoom room, Google room, as opposed to in an office space. At the water cooler.
Yeah. But it's. I mean, I was watching a news segment that talked about the impact on the restaurant industry.
Yes.
Right. So when we think about industries and fields and how this has impacted them and whether or not they can adapt to more of a digital, right? Restaurants, it's like, okay, so, unless they change their whole business model to, deliver meals, but it would turn it on its head, right?
Right.
Entertainment, movie industry, we've seen a shift because now AMC Theaters has, AMC Plus or whatever, where you can kind of download and become a member. And so I'm sure, CEOs of these companies are looking at their industry and trying to determine what do they need to do to adapt. But restaurants, I'm also thinking, I spoke to a new client of mine who used to be my boss at Master Foods. And he's in transition. He's a CEO, and he used to be CEO of Kraft. And he's now in transition. And he said, I want to go back and market myself. He said, and I said, well, one of the things we got to talk about is the strategy, because what about being a CEO of Kraft and Master Foods is, you've got plants and you got workers. I mean, your operations and your executive staff, they can work from home, but you got factories, and workers. So how do you produce the product? Because it's not automated. Well, some of it is automated, but you need people to.
You need people.
Yeah, I mean, this is going to be a revolution in terms of, like the industrial age, the digital age, we're now going to see another iterative of how certain industries emerge and trend, and some kind of die out.
Yeah, yeah,
And then I think that to some degree, depending on your trade, it's going to remain. So in my trade, for instance, you're not going to get away from the human interaction. You're not going to get away from the physically being on site, because that's what we do. We build.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to a certain extent, what I think it will do, in a weird kind of way, I'm curious to see this, is actually make my kind of industry or trade more valuable, because less people are going to want to do it. Less people are going to want to be on site. Less people are going to want to be interactive. I was just talking to a friend of mine, and I was saying how the phrase social distancing never existed before COVID. You know what I mean? So,
right.
I think it's just going to, by nature, ingrain into the subconscious of society. But there's just certain things you can't get away from. There's going to have to be people who build. There's going to have to be people who deal with other people. It may be lessened due to regulations, but it's still going to be there. So I think that the one thing it'll do is make building trades, construction trades, that much more valuable in the long run.
And more expensive.
Here was my question with regards to that too. Like I thought a little bit differently, like with folks like Jonathan. I kind of thought like the people like Jonathan would actually be the group or the demographic that made those of us who are socially distant constant realize that we don't have to be. It's like we can look and say, oh, these guys are okay. Like after a while, you're almost like the testing ground for the rest of us. And so you, to me, would be the group that would help us get back to a sense of normalcy. When we see those people, when we see those people who have to be interacting, you'll help us to get back to normalcy. Because I'll know.
Hang on. That's an interesting concept. But unless the data is shared with us as,
layman,
proof of the pudding.
Right, because yes, he is out there in his profession, but we don't know, as they're tracking the rate of COVID, whether there's a spike there, right? So just because they're out there interacting, we don't know how it's impacting those.
Yeah, right. It's one of these weird things where it's almost going to be, to me, it's almost like based on, I don't know if it's observation and experience, meaning, I'm just looking at these guys. They're okay. I look at the landscapers in our neighborhood. They're coming around every week, so they're not getting sick, it seems like. They're not, and they continue to be okay. Whereas I know in the meatpacking industry, it was a little different, but that's because we all were impacted. We were able to observe, okay, you're in this closed environment. That's not good. That factory setting is not good. But contractors, I just see the same people and I say, okay, well, they must be okay. I don't know if it's going to be, if it's going to be for at least for people like me, data driven more than it's going to be observational. I kind of, I don't tell them, but I look at Jonathan from afar all the time. We talk all the time. I'm like, this guy, he's doing all right. And I know he goes out jogging, miles, and I know he's doing the contracting, and I know he's in houses, and I know he's dealing with real estate agents because we're talking about, the property flipping and things of that nature. So I know he's.
But let me.
But that's a limited sample size.
That's a small sample. Yes.
You look at
small sample.
Yeah, but I'm looking at that and I'm extrapolating that, but I extrapolate that to other people who are in similar professions. So I take that small sample size and it's just observation. There's no science. I have no science. I look at that and I say, okay, now I know what he does. I imagine that most contractors are doing the same thing. If I see them around and I see them doing okay, for instance, a tree fell, that last storm we had on my block, a tree fell on my corner, my neighbor's house. It almost destroyed it. He's got a contractor fixing it. I see that contractor every day. I'm imagining that contractor's going to Home Depot, he's going to Lowe's, he's doing this and that. I see him every day. And I'm not saying that I'm looking at Jonathan as the one person saying, I'm talking about like a year from now, when we're trying to figure out, what is it okay to deal with each other? I see contractors.
Let me just interject, right? My son lives in Vietnam. In Vietnam, in January, the end of January, they shut down the country. What did that mean? No mask, social distancing. I mean, all masks, and they curved the virus. They curved the virus to the point as of till August the 1st, they had zero deaths.
Yep.
Wow.
Zero
I have a
deaths.
client.
So
who's
there's a science
Vietnam.
involved here,
Yeah.
and
Right.
it's not just the feeling. There's a science involved. If you keep 6 feet away, if you wash your hands, and if you do certain things, this will happen. I mean, you can feel good about things, but that's the same thing that's making it spread.
Oh, no doubt about it. No doubt about it. But we're all talking about right now how we conduct our businesses today,
Right.
right? And so a lot of what we're doing is based on, I mean, we're trying to incorporate science, but also what we find reasonable and you know what I'm saying? Like you said, I wash my hands, I do this and I do that, but I did have that lady in my car. You know,
Yes.
the science probably would tell you not to do that. The science probably would say, don't put somebody in your car, but you're like, well, I'm going to do
So
this.
she was masked up the whole time.
Yeah.
Science told me that make sure she's masked up, though we never talked in the face. She had no hands. As soon as she got out of the car, I cleaned the inside of my car. So that was the science. And the
Okay.
science also told me that if she buys a house, it's going to X-register in my bank account.
That's some good science right there. Hey, that's why I'm going to check out this workflow, because I think it's gonna scientifically improve my financial bottom line. So it's an interesting conversation. It's definitely something that is evolving. I'm kind of like COVID out, but you never can be, because
But you know what?
it's constantly in front of us.
One of the things too, Michelle, and I say Michelle because she was talking about, mentioned it, in regards to reaching out to our client bases, is that this is a key opportunity to just focus on your client base and spread yourself amongst the people you know. Because whereas that networking contact you used to do all the time, you go into the network, it's more so on the telephone and on Zoom, like meetings like this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this actually moves me to the quote that I wanted to chat about, and I want to get your thoughts on it actually. Because we talk about improvement, the bottom line of our business. The quote that I had ran across was this thing that said, growth is not necessarily more, and more is not necessarily better. What do you think about that statement when it comes to business?
The growth is not necessarily more, and the more is not better.
Not necessarily better.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
A lot of it depends on the cost of doing business, the industry that you're in, and what does it cost to gain a new client. It's like the restaurant business now. The restaurant business, like we were talking about before, the restaurants just opened up today. Doors in Teaneck, in New Jersey. You can go inside a restaurant, but they only can have 25% capacity. So what does it take? What does it cost me to have, can I do business with 25% capacity? Am I making money? Or do I need to have, how much more money, how much more people do I have to have my business in order for me to make money? So in that case, more has got to be better. But
yeah.
if it's going to be an expense where it costs you more to do business, to maintain the business, than it does to gain a new client, more is not going to be good.
Yeah, it's an interesting statement. Like when I think of growth, it's not necessarily more. I think about how I want to grow my business and get better at it, right? How to be more profitable.
But that's still more. You just
right, but it's not. But what I was about to say is that my more is not based on growth, meaning I'm not trying to get 80 new coaching clients, and add more, because then what happens is you get, to me, this law of diminishing return. For instance, this past year in my business, I've dropped clients. So growth for me was not client acquisition. I've dropped clients, right? So growth is not necessarily more. Just because I get more clients doesn't mean I'm going to make more money, right? Just because I have more, and it doesn't mean it's better. I've gotten 40 new advisory clients. That doesn't mean I'm doing better. I could actually be doing worse.
But because what I'm hearing, there's two parts to that statement. Growth does not mean more.
Necessarily more, yeah.
Okay. All right. So just take that first part. I don't know that I even get that, because growth is more. It depends on what you're measuring. If I understand what you're saying, Mark, is it's not expanding your client base in numbers. It may be doing more with your current business, right? Penetration, going narrower and deep, but it's still more.
But so what happens is, and I think when we look at that statement in the abstract, when you speak to a business owner and you say, hey, you know, how's business? It could be better. What do you mean? Well, I'm not making enough money. Well, how do we fix it? I need more clients. No, growth is not necessarily more. That might not be the more you need, right? You might actually grow by cutting expenses, right? You want to increase your bottom line. It's not necessarily more in the way we traditionally think about things. So if you
Let
want
me
to
say
grow,
this.
go ahead, John.
Let me say this, if I may. The statement, I think, you can't. It's an open-ended statement because you have to define more. You know, if you don't define it, then you can have a circular conversation. So, like for me, when you first said that statement, I related it to my garden and horticulture. You know what I mean? In gardening, you quickly learn that more as respects the size of your plants isn't better. That's why you trim to cut away dead leaves. But you want more as respects your harvest. But to get a larger harvest, you have to cut back. That's how you produce more fruitage, depending on the plant's specimen. So that's why I'm like, you know, when you said that, it's kind of an open-ended statement, because I could say yes and no. I could say, yeah, I agree. More isn't necessarily better, but everybody wants more money. Everybody wants more time to themselves. That's why I work. I work not necessarily to make a ton of money, but I need the money because I want to live the lifestyle I want to live, where I can run the miles and cook and bake and do the things that I really want to do. So it's just, to me, it's an open-ended statement. And that's why I related it to horticulture, because
I like
more
that.
isn't necessarily better, but you want more of a harvest, so you have to cut back on the foliage.
I love it. I love it. And oh boy, that was deep. This guy is deep. No, it's funny
You
because the statement that I got it from was actually from another business coach. And he was helping us as coaches to realize that what growth is not necessarily more, meaning the client might think it's one thing. I want to grow my business. And their first thought might be, oh, so I need more clients. And we might be telling the client, you know, you want to grow, but it's not that way. That might be a mistake. One of the courses I went to, I was in Vegas. So it was a bunch of business advisors. There was a guy who was transitioning from doing just taxes to moving into advisory. Did about $500,000. The guy was impressive. So I'm sitting there, I'm like, man, he doing $500,000. He said, and they asked him, how many clients do you have? He was like 500. I was like, ew, that's a lot of work. And so he was like,
that's 10,000 per client. My God,
it's a lot of work. So I'm like, he was of the mind that he was trying, yeah, 1,000. So so with 500 clients, he can't do it himself. He had 4 employees. He said, I'm working 60 hours a week. I don't sleep. I'm losing my hair. He was trying to cut clients to grow his business. So when I think about that statement, it's not necessarily more, meaning, you know, you've got to look at what it means for you to grow and then maybe put fire on that. But it's not just the first thing you might necessarily think of. I think that's why it uses that phrase necessarily, because the book I was reading actually was helping us to realize, don't just focus on one thing and think that's how you're going to grow. You know, like John said, you know, I want more fruit. I'm going to cut the leaves. You might say, cut the leaves? I want all my leaves, right? But no, you might have to prune a little bit. So in business, we might be pruners as well to grow. It's an interesting concept that I thought I would share with everybody. I like to get everybody's thoughts on those things. You know.
Well, I think in my business also, one of the things real estate I'm speaking of, in real estate, you're looking at more. You're looking at how you can expand your business. And I personally do I focus mostly on my client base. I am not looking because it costs me too much more money nowadays
to get a new client.
New clients, unless they're coming through my client base. All right. So how do you expand the usage? How do you help more people through your client base is getting it out. And that's the purpose of touching base with people all the time, because they have friends and people who need your assistance. And by helping them, you're making more money, and you're helping them to get into a new home, apartment, or sell whatever they have. So by focusing, it's because it's very expensive for me to acquire a new client. Marketing wise, it is very expensive, and I have ad access my client base that I should use more often, which is part of, like last week I was talking, I texted Michelle, I think I said 7 clients the first day, 5, 3. At the end of the week, Friday, I had about, I think it was 14 clients. I came up a little short of the 20 goal.
I was just about to ask you.
But it put me on course to what I really needed to do. Because on Friday, I didn't touch base with anybody because I was out with clients all day. That was the day I went to the city. I took the lady, picked up, running back and forth from Bloomfield to see. I didn't account for that time. I figured, I have enough time to do that. And the time that you spend with clients also, whether it be not just a short conversation, but the conversations actually do get a lot lengthier than you can anticipate.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But that's awesome. I was thinking about that, like, when you talk about touching base with past clients, it actually happened to me in a different way. One of my past coaches reached out to me because there was a project. He was like, he wanted to know if I was interested in working on it for a firm in the city. And I was like, well, no. He said, hey, let's touch base. And he actually unleashed, I don't know if that's the right term, a new program. I'm interested in taking him up on it because it's interesting. So it kind of worked exactly as you said. He reached out to me, and more business might generate. I think they say it costs 7 times as much money to get a new client as it is to keep a current client. So there is a real value in focusing on your current client base, right? Or keeping them and growing through them. I think that's the stat. Don't quote me on it, please.
I guess it's going to vary business to business.
Yeah, obviously, right? Yeah. So, but I'm glad you brought up what you did last week or a couple weeks ago, because we all had these goals, right? And you did good. I mean, if you spoke to 16 of 20, your goal was 20, and you were busy, that's some good percentages, man.
It got me in motion. It absolutely did.
And that's really the idea, right? Just to do the things that get us moving towards success. So that was really, really good. Congrats. Right. Congrats. What's your goal for next week?
My goal is 15 contacts.
Okay. All 15.
Right. I think I've refined that sort of, and this is out of my base. Out of my base doesn't include follow-up. I mean, 15 new contacts.
Oh, 15 new.
15 new contacts. Right.
Okay. And are you going to also go after to touch base with some of the older folks or no?
These are clients. This is out of my database.
Oh, okay. Out of the database.
These I'm not. Generally, my business there's that marketplace of for sale by owners. There's the marketplace of basically cold calling and whatnot that I do not participate in right now. That's something that's really very difficult for me. I mean, I'm where I don't, but that's not part of my business model. I don't.
Understood.
Right.
Understood.
And the least costly is absolutely focusing on my database. The least costly and the most effective.
Yes.
Really,
yes.
Really. And it's a warm call. It's not like, who's this calling?
Yeah. That's very cool.
And I feel so sorry for the people calling nowadays with all the robocalls. Oh my God, I get 8-10 phone calls on my cell phone, and only 2 of them are for me.
It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. There must be some effectiveness to it, though, because they keep doing it.
Oh yeah, sure, absolutely.
There must be some effectiveness.
Absolutely. I mean, if you have a machine that can make 10,000 calls a day, because they're machines that are calling all this stuff, and you get an X amount of return, that's great.
Yeah. That's a tough way. Though. I'm not a happy guy with that kind of stuff. Cool. Michelle, how'd you do in the last couple? Well, you did great. You did Cape Cod, which is
I know. I know.
Cape
I,
Cod
better
or
than
Cape
me.
May?
Cape May.
Cape May.
May. Yeah, Jersey Shore, not Massachusetts. So yeah, I didn't. My goal was to create an outline for this training, but I secured 4 new clients
Wow.
in a week,
Wow.
and this is unsolicited. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah. So so it's now onboarding them, and which is continuing to kind of distract me from putting that outline together and getting that training
But
transformed.
but there's a point, in
No,
my
it's not.
opinion. No, there's a point in my opinion when it's fine. Like, okay, I'm gonna put this back a little bit.
Mm-hmm,
I mean, 4 new clients is significant.
mm-hmm,
You know,
Yeah.
you should definitely take the time and focus on that.
mm-hmm.
You
I
know,
have no choice.
yeah. You know, you do your 90-10. 10% of the time I look at that outline because right now you're doing so well with new clients that you don't have to chase right now. That's really cool. If
Mm-hmm,
your goal is just to make sure that these people feel like they're at home, then you've already won.
mm-hmm,
Congrats.
mm-hmm.
That's big time.
Yeah.
Cool. Good work.
Thanks.
Good work.
Mm-hmm.
Jonathan,
It's
can you
really
talk or you
Yes, sir.
cool. Last time you were here, what did you say? Oh, you were gonna set up a schedule to touch base with all your old clients. Did you do that?
Yeah. So what had happened was,
What happened?
uh, organically, I've been distracted because I've been pursuing properties, and out of the, it's just out of the blue, stuff started picking up. So for like the past 3 days, no, 2 days, today, tomorrow, I'm going through a bunch of properties, which takes a lot of time. I'm learning, driving around and scouting things out. And then I've been networking with a bunch of local realtors, which is I'm getting feedback from that. And then kind of organically, I've just been having people call me who I don't know who they are, who want me to do projects for them. So I'm starting a new construction project this next week, hopefully. The lady gave me a text message that her funds came in, and I don't even remember talking to her. So it's like I have so many things going on.
Yeah.
Thankfully, I take extensive notes on things. That helps me. So I was able to, while I was talking to her, look up her file while I was in the truck going to somebody else. And, I was able to kind of refresh my mind on who she was.
Nice.
But it's like a lot of things are happening organically where the things that I'm planning just aren't happening because a bunch of other things are starting to kind of all pop off at the same time.
But that's, look, the goal is to grow the business, right? And so if you said, oh, I want to touch base with my old clients, but you find yourself touching base with new clients, and isn't that the win? I mean, that's
Right.
that's the way I see it. I mean, that's beautiful, and we've had conversations about the property thing and just being gun-ho about getting new contacts. And so if you're doing that and you're not touching now, you don't want to put any of those goals like just trash them, but they certainly, just like with Michelle, push it back a little bit and focus on this new profitable goal. I think that's part of what business is all about, right? The flexibility. When you see something good, when you see something working, throw some fire on it. And we've been talking a lot about new things, meeting new realtors, meeting other developers, and you're seeing the results. So that's a win. If you were going to think about what you're going to do in the upcoming week, to me, it'd be focusing on that new thing that's winning.
Right.
Because that's the critical part of business. We don't care. I mean, it's about doing things just to get them done because we said it. We care about doing things that's going to make us more money.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah, and there's something to be said about what you just said, Mark, because I can't recall what book I'm reading or just read where they talk about the goal activity. The goal is not the physical goal as much as it is in the activity. And once you're completing the activity that you set out to do, whatever takes place after that is okay.
Yeah.
As long as you've completed the activity.
Yeah, absolutely,
I don't think
absolutely.
what book I was reading.
All,
Definitely.
all the brilliant ones are well read. I'm learning that. Every time I speak to business owners who are having a level of success, they're always reading something. It's
Right.
actually caused me to start doing more reading instead of watching Star Trek Voyager.
What time's that on?
I tell you, man, I'm just all enthralled with with this TV show from 25 years ago. But I make sure to do some reading as well. So cool, very nice. I'm gonna, last week or the last time we chatted, I had all kinds of goals. I don't even remember what they were, so I can't even comment on it. I will say this though, a lot's been happening here. So I've been building a new website. Not me, my assistant, my marketing guy, and we're about to go live with one of these classes soon. Um, and I've been really pushing that. And I have a workshop that I did. Jonathan came to that workshop, which is called like Mastering the Five Keys to Business Success. And we're about to see about getting that complete, like video snips, so that people can see it. And I would like to start to push that workshop on a more regular basis. It's almost a 90-day goal setting workshop that allows businesses to set goals and reach them in 90 days. So I'm really working on getting that done. We hired a part-time bookkeeper because I'm redefining what I'm doing with the business now. Claudia, who's been with me for years, is moving into more of an integrator role. Have you heard that term, integrator? I think it's British.
Yes, I've heard a lot lately. Yes.
Oh yeah, yeah. I heard it from another a British business consultant. And an integrator is someone where I have all these ideas, but making them happen is a whole different story. So my integrator is sort of making sure that things are taking place. So she's in that role, and it's freeing me up to keep building what I need to build and keep track of it. It's a lot of balls that are in the air. So my goal for the next week is actually to finish getting the clips done for my workshop, and it's focused on getting my bookkeeper, the new one, up and running in a full capacity so that we can be free to grow the advisory stuff. I'm not going to be doing bookkeeping for a bunch of clients like I used to. I mean, that was a goal. Chase bookkeeping clients, chase tax clients. I will do bookkeeping for those clients that are already an advisory client. So it has to be in that window. And then it becomes valuable because I want them to grow. I don't want to just do books. I want to see my clients become profitable or increase profitability.
So therefore, less is more.
Less is more. Absolutely. That's what this year has been for me. And dropping clients this year has been those clients who didn't really want to do advisory work. They're like, no, you can just do my books. I dropped them so that I can be free to build these programs, because that's what really matters. And, you know, unless every business should be looking to grow. I mean, in some form or fashion, not every, but most of them, right? And if you're not, that's fine. But I only want to work with those who want to grow their business at this point or grow what they're doing. That's what I get. That's the kick I get out of it. And there's a huge market for it. So I don't want to get bogged down doing bookkeeping for 40 little clients. I'd rather let them go and focus on those who want to grow, because I want to analyze and understand and help you target and make KPIs, not make KPIs, but identify KPIs and target how we can. That's what I love doing. I love when clients grow.
I'm unmuting. So we would benefit from maybe having a separate, because I'm interested in what that service looks like that you're offering. Is it like business coaching?
Well, that's what I'm doing now. I'm coaching some of my larger clients now. But what I'm creating is a couple of, for want of a better word, a hybrid for smaller clients. I mean, because we work with, I try to work with big clients, but smaller ones, they need help too. So the 90-day programs are a little bit different in that they are educational and coaching combined for 90 days.
Mm.
So that's what, I'm calling, I have two programs that I'm, I, I'm calling them developing, because even though I have all the material, I haven't like really pushed it. It's a launch program, and there's what I call an ascent program. So my mindset, the way I've conjured this up, is that there are three phases of business. and this is just the way I look at it, right? There's like this launch phase. People have the idea, the concept, and then they need to make it a reality. And then you start the business, and you're going to ascend to whatever level you want to ascend. And then when you're in the right position, now you're maintaining, maybe you call it orbiting, you're maintaining that business and making sure that it gets better and better. So I've created 2 programs, a launch program for businesses or business owners who are pre-revenue or are just starting out, and they really, for want of a better phrase, don't know business. You know how that goes, right? So many people start business, they don't really understand what's involved. So that's the launch program. And the ascent program is what I'm doing with some of my clients now, but on a shorter, more condensed.
So where are the descriptions? Have you launched all 3 of those services?
Both the launch program and the ascent program will be going live shortly.
And what about the ascend?
Those 2.
The third one.
Oh, that's just for right now. I don't have a 90-day program for that one. Right now, when I think about the clients that are in that, those are my ongoing. They're with me just all the way around. This workflow project that I'm going to be on, I mean, I've been working with this client for well over a year. We're now at the phase of workflow. We focused on getting his accounting right. We focused on cleaning up some of his roles. We talked about some leadership issues, and we worked on sales and marketing even because he wanted to blow that up. What was interesting with that one, for instance, is, we were focused on marketing. He wanted to double his sales, and COVID hit. And what he realized is that the business was doing fine with sales, but they were struggling with the ability to continue to maintain it because some people weren't there. And he realized, man, I know you've been talking to me about getting these roles right. And now I see how we were struggling just to keep afloat and manage the sales. If I grow like I want to, I won't be, I'm not scalable. So now we've taken that adjustment. We've pivoted. So our 3-year goal was to double the sales, sorry. And now he's scaling it back and saying, you know what, let's focus on getting this foundation good. So that's kind of the ongoing program that I do with people.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But I'm finding that, some people need bite-sized portions. 90 days is a nice bite-sized portion, to see what we can accomplish in 90 days. And then if they want ongoing, that's a whole different story.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, keep us posted to what the services are.
Absolutely. I'm excited about it, but you know how that goes. We're all excited about our new shiny toy.
But let us know where you publish that information, because some of us on your weekly calls may be interested in it. And the more we understand what it entails, we could possibly refer clients to you.
Awesome. Okay.
So let us know, besides how you're explaining it to us, where we can find that information. Is that going to be on your website?
Yeah, I have a new website, NLB Advisors, or NL Business Advisors, I should say. And I'm going to have it all finished up on there first. But I'm still tweaking like the one sheets and things of that nature.
Okay, gents, ladies, I got to jump off.
All right. Yep. Hey, it was good seeing everybody. Enjoy your week, and we'll catch up again.
Yep.
Okay,
Take care, everybody.
Jonathan, can I get your phone number?